Absolute temperature. The temperature reckoned from the absolute zero temperature. Absolute temperature scale. A scale of temperature measurement in which 0 degrees is absolute zero. Absolute zero. A hypothetical temperature at which there is total absence of heat. Since heat is a result of energy caused by molecular motion, there is no motion of molecules with respect to each other at absolute zero. It is theoretically the coldest possible temperature. Absolute zero temperature. Temperature measured from absolute zero, minus 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit, or minus 273.16 degrees Celsius. Absorbent. A material which, due to an affinity for certain substances, extracts one or more such substances from a liquid or gaseous medium with which it contacts and which changes physically or chemically, or both, during the process. Calcium chloride is an example of a solid absorbent, while solutions of lithium chloride, lithium bromide, and ethylene glycols are liquid absorbents. Abutment. A concrete support wall constructed at both ends of a bridge or an arch, in order to resist the horizontal force from the bridge or the arch, support the ends of the bridge span and to prevent the bank from sliding under. Abutment. The outermost end supports on a bridge, which carry the load from the deck. Acre. Approximately 4,047 square meters. Aggregate. A mixture of sand and stone and a major component of concrete. Air brick. Ventilation built into brickwork to provide ventilation through the wall. Airlift hammer. A type of gravity drop hammer where the ram is raised for each stroke by an air cylinder. Because length of stroke can be controlled, ram velocity and thus energy delivered to the workpiece can be varied. Alloy. A substance that has metallic properties and is comprised of two or more chemical elements, of which at least one is a metal. Altimeter. An instrument used to measure the height above a reference point, such as ground or sea level. Aqueduct. A bridge or channel for conveying water, usually over long distances. Balcony. An elevated platform or seating space of an assembly room projecting from a wall of a building. Barometer. To check the atmospheric pressure, a device is used called barometer. Batching. Amount or quantity of core or mold sand or other material prepared at one time. Batching plants. A batching plant is an installation of equipment for mixing bulk components. It typically refers to a remote installation set up for the purpose of mixing concrete on site. Benchmark. A relatively fixed point whose elevation is known and used as a datum for leveling. Bleeding. The tendency of a liquid component to separate from a liquid solid or liquid semisolid mixture, as oil may separate from a grease. Boulder. Pieces of rock larger than 200 millimeters. Box culvert. Culvert of rectangular cross-section, commonly of precast concrete. Bracing. Metal that is attached to a fabrication prior to galvanizing in order to provide support so that the steel does not change shape during heating and cooling, can be temporary or permanent. Brick guard. Steel mesh panel used on scaffolding to make sure that loose bricks cannot fall off the scaffold. Brick ledge. The metal angle iron that brick rests on, especially above a window, door, or other opening. Brick lintel. Trim used around an exterior door jamb that siding butts to. Cantilever footing. A combined footing that supports an exterior wall or exterior columns. Cantilever footing. A combined footing that supports an exterior wall or exterior columns. Chamfer. To take off the edge or a rise of any material to a small depth at an angle of about 45 degrees. Civil engineer. An engineer who plans, designs, and supervises the construction of facilities essential to modern life. Cofferdam. A temporary dam built to divert a river around a construction site so the dam can be built on dry ground. Concrete pump. A machine for transporting concrete down a delivery pipe. May be truck mounted or static. Condenser, an apparatus used to transfer heat from a hot gas, simultaneously reducing that gas to a liquid. Contour, an imaginary line linking points of equal elevation. Conveyor, a mechanical apparatus for carrying or transporting materials from place to place. Types include apron, belt, chain, gravity, roller, monorail, overhead, pneumatic, vibrating, etc. Counterfort, a foundation wall section that strengthens, and generally perpendicular to, a long section of foundation wall. Damp-proof course DPC, a barrier, usually physical, built into masonry to prevent moisture migrating up from the ground or down from above, e.g. chimneys, parapets. Datum, a predetermined level on a site from which all other levels are established. Any elevation taken as a reference point for leveling. Dewatering, the removal of groundwater by pumping so as to artificially depress the water table and avoid the difficulties associated with construction below the water table. Dowel, a wood or metal pin used to strengthen a joint by its insertion partly into each of the joint pieces. Dumpy Level, originally a simple but accurate optical instrument invented in 1832 by English civil engineer William Gravett. Now applied to any optical leveling instrument used by builders. Erosion, movement of soil by water and wind. Expansion joint, a break in construction or a special design detail to allow for thermal expansion and contraction of the materials of a structure. Fabrication, the manufacturing process to convert raw materials into a finished product by cutting, punching, welding, cleaning, and painting. Fastener, term for a connecting device such as a weld, bolt, rivet, etc. Fillet, a concave corner piece used on foundry patterns, a radius joint replacing sharp inside corners. Formwork, a mold into which concrete is cast. Fulcrum, the point of support on which a lever turns. Gantry, 1. A temporary staging for carrying heavy loads, such as earth. 2. Overhead structure that supports signs, usually built of square timbers or steel joists. Gravity dam, a dam constructed so that its great weight resists the force of water pressure. Lubricant, substance interposed between two surfaces in relative motion for the purpose of reducing the friction and or wear between them. Parapet, any protective railing, low wall or barrier at the edge of a bridge, roof, balcony or the like. Ponding, the gathering of water at low or irregular areas on a roof. Scaffolding, a temporary structure specifically erected to support access platforms or working platforms. Slump cone, a mold into which concrete to be tested by the slump test is placed, which is a standard construction in the form of a cone.